both the Southern African Development Community as well as the East African Community held a meeting that took place in Tanzania yesterday. During that meeting, some of the issues that came out of that meeting and the resolutions that were taken include one, that there should be an immediate ceasefire. This morning, we're in conversation with Dr. Christiano D'orsi, and this, of course, is in relation to the ongoing violence in the DRC. Dr. D'orsi, good morning, and thank you so much for making time for us this morning.
Good morning, good morning. Thank you very much to you for having me here. Thank you.
What do you make of the resolutions that have come out of this meeting, and do you think that they go far enough to make sure that that ceasefire, the immediate ceasefire that has been called for, actually does come to fruition?
Yes, thank you very much for your question. Well, actually, if I have to express my own opinion, I'm pretty sure that there will be concrete achievement at this point in time, because unfortunately the situation has gone too far with the entry of the M23 in Goma, and the Sub-African organization realized that possibly the record of civilians, of vulnerable people, they are suffering. They've been killed, they've been injured, is too high now, and I think the fact that they call for the immediate ceasefire will be respected, in fact, and also the restoration of essential utilities and supply lines for food, because we are in presence of a veritable humanitarian crisis. And as usual, it happens in humanitarian crisis, who are suffering, they are the most vulnerable people. So I'm pretty sure that they are working on it. Also because the meeting yesterday, called for party meeting in the next few days, special meeting between defense chief of staff, etc. So I'm pretty sure that they are really working hard in order that really we can have a ceasefire at this point of time, in fact.
Yeah. What do you make that in the meeting as well, there is, for instance, the one point that is raised around foreign troops and uninvited foreign troops, that's the phrase that is used, that those foreign troops must also withdraw from the DRC. There was a mention of Rwanda, but not necessarily about what Rwanda's role is within the conflict in the DRC.
Well, they need to use diplomatic formulas, of course, in the sense that President Kagame was present yesterday in Dar es Salaam, and once again he rejected all the allegations, while on the other side, the president of DRC was not present, was only virtually present, in fact, yesterday, continued to insist that the Rwanda Defense Force are backing the M23. So, of course, they need to, we all know that there is this problem that Rwanda is accusing DRC, they are supporting the democratic forces for the liberation of Rwanda, and on the other side, DRC is accusing Rwanda because he's saying that the Rwanda Defense Force, they are backing the M23. But of course, this is one of the points on the table. But I'm also in this case, I'm pretty sure that they will find a solution. Also because I would like to point out something that Rwanda and DRC also collaborated in other fields in these years. I remember that in 2017 they signed, for example, a five-year agreement for it was an economic and environmental agreement for the exploration, for example, of natural resources at the border. So it's not that they were all the time, in very bad terms. But as usual, as it happens in diplomatic terms, you need to use sticks and carrots, So it's the formula they are invited, the formula they have been used of uninvited troops, of course, refers to the Rwanda Defense Force. But you know, President Kagame is also an important part of this negotiation. You know, so I mean, we need to take care of this. We need to take care of the fact that no one will get offended and everyone will cooperate towards the end of the cessation of these hostilities, in fact.
Yeah. There's a statement that was issued by President Paul Kagame, which was tweeted or X'd on the X account. And I just want to read a portion of it. It says there, "We can't go on forever massaging the problems. What is happening there is an ethnic war, and that has been brewing for a long time, denying people's rights and then attacking Rwanda. You must recognize people's rights and take a step and resolve the issue. This war was started by the DRC and not anything from Rwanda. It was just brought and put on our shoulders as we are told to own it. We can't own it. There's no question about that." What then do you read into all of that, considering this joint statement between the EAC as well as SADC?
Yes, I mean, as I mentioned before, President Kagame has always rejected all the allegations coming from Kinshasa, and he, you know, DRC is a huge country, is a very multi-ethnic country where there've been historically a lot of ethnical tension. So I mean that we also had during, for example, when there was the previous president, during the presidency of Kabila, for example. But as I said, I think it's everything is part of the game. You know, it is part of the game in the sense that what really counts, in my opinion, is really what they're going to do concretely now. Also revamping the Rwanda agreement and the Nairobi agreement in order to really make things easier for civilians. That, as I said, and as I would like to highlight, is the portion of the population that is suffering more for what is happening. You know, me, I have Congolese friends who are working for NGOs in that area, and they send to me for a long time now reports and videos and pictures, and I can tell you that some of these videos and pictures I cannot even open them because they are so cruel that really it's something that is not even imaginable what has been happening in that area of Congo for many years now. And I think it's the time that this manslaughter, because it's a veritable manslaughter, could stop. And I'm sure that now with all these initiatives, they are going, towards stopping this veritable manslaughter, and they will find an agreement on the way forward, in fact.
Yeah. The statement also then goes on to speak about calling on negotiations and dialogue with all state and non-state parties, military and non-military, including the M23, under the framework of the Luanda-Nairobi process. President Felix Tshisekedi of the DRC has been accused of not wanting to entertain the M23. He has also come out to say that he will not be negotiating with the M23 before this meeting took place. Is there a possibility, do you think, that he could, now that you have this joint summit calling, saying that have a conversation with the M23, that it would actually heed that particular call?
Well, I'm you know, one of the principles, for example, of the Nairobi process, that is one of these of the two processes that actually yesterday the summit decided to merge into one, becoming the Luanda Nairobi process, is inclusivity, and it's clear that all stakeholders, including armed groups, need to be involved in the process. So in a way or in another, I think that in any case, President Tshisekedi needs to sit and needs to invite also M23 to the table because, you know, I mean, they took Goma, you know, I mean, they took ample portion of the territory there. You can't ignore them. I mean, it's afterwards, if he doesn't want to speak to them directly, maybe he will send you know, some of his officers, but the government of Kinshasa needs to speak with them. I mean, you know, Kinshasa, we are talking of areas that they are away more than 2,000 kilometers from Kinshasa, you know, I mean, from the capital. You understand that the influence of the capital in those areas is historically been very weak. So, I mean, so they really need, in my opinion, to sit at the table also with the M23. That, as I said, by the way, is part of this this dialogue and inclusivity. They are parties of, you know, the principle of the Luanda-Nairobi process.
Yeah. Final one is on this accusation that has been made by Rwanda specifically, and that is the South African SANDF troops, as well as the ones from Malawi and Tanzania, part of the Sampear DRC, fighting alongside the FDLR. The joint statement doesn't speak to that, but I can imagine that this would have been something that was raised during the meeting by President Paul Kagame of Rwanda. But the statement instead speaks of a harmonized plan for the neutralization of the FDLR and the lifting of Rwanda's defense measures and disengagement. What then should we, or how should we understand how the joint summit understands the role of the FDLR in the continuing ongoing violence that is playing out in the DRC, while on the other end you have Rwanda that is accusing the Sampear DRC forces of fighting alongside the FDLR?
Well, I mean, you know, these reciprocal accusations are also part of the game. I mean, the fact of I mean, we haven't mentioned the MONUSCO, the UN mission, but the fact that we have there also troops that have been sent in order to try to, you know, to protect the neutrality of those areas, to protect civilians, need to be taken into account. Right now, DRC is still a sovereign country, and those territories, they still belong officially to DRC. So is it clear that the Rwandan troops they should withdraw from the DRC territory, and also with the help of the intermediation of the South African troop, the Malawian troop, the Tanzanian troop, they've been there, and they should form a sort of cushion at the moment in order to keep, you know, to keep neutrality of those areas and to start a real dialogue and to really understand what will be happen to those areas, because of course DRC want to own them. I mean, want that they would fully return under the DRC government. On the other side, in my opinion, it would be very difficult that the M23 will give up to all their revendications after that they have conquered the entire area. So, of course, there are proposals on the table, but there are various proposals, but at the moment, they are still negotiating. But as I said, in my opinion, it's already important that a ceasefire, a real ceasefire will take place and will end the veritable manslaughter that has been happening for a long time there, and then oblige millions of Congolese either to seek asylum abroad or to be internally displaced.
Yeah. Finally, last week we were told by our Chief of Defense that the SANDF soldiers, the 14 that were killed in the DRC, that the bodies should have been repatriated last week already after he appeared before Parliament. That didn't happen. And then we waited and waited and waited, and now we hear that the bodies have now been transported to Uganda, where they'll be flying from out of Entebbe. And this was apparently a process that has been led by the United Nations. Again, what does this mean, considering that you have this meeting that has taken place, you have the call for the Goma airport to be reopened, and that hasn't happened?
Well, first of all, please allow me to extend my condolences for all the South African troops that have been killed, and they were there not to participate, actively to a killing, mass killings, but they were there as a peaceful, to keep peace in the area. And of course, this is very unfortunate what happens to them. The opening of the Goma airport is one of the situations still not very clear, in fact. And as I said, of course, airports are very sensitive targets and are very sensitive sites that the M23, of course, wanted its own. Now the Goma airport, once again, they should try to negotiate in order that the Goma airport could be reopened and could be reopened for military and also civilian purposes. But as I said, it's one of the issues that are one of the issues that are on the table, and it would be one of the first issues that need to be solved. And in my opinion, the Goma airport, in any case, will be reopened soon, because, as I said, it's a very sensitive site, and it's very useful for not only for the African Union, for the UN, but also for plenty of NGOs, foreign NGOs that work in the area, and they need to bring assistance to all the people who are stranded, to all the civilians who are stranded there. So I'm pretty sure that, of course, not in exchange of nothing, probably a price will need to be paid to the M23, but I'm pretty sure that the Goma airport will be reopened soon.
Thank you so much for your time. University of Pretoria's Center for Human Rights lecturer there, Dr. Christiano D'orsi.